The wind at the edge of the cliff did not howl. It whispered, low and patient, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Far below, the ocean moved like a dark, restless thought, crashing and pulling back, again and again. On that narrow strip of stone, where one careless step meant vanishing forever, a terrible choice was already in motion, carried not by rage, but by something colder and far more dangerous: indifference. The son who stood there had everything money could buy, yet in that moment his heart was emptier than the vast drop in front of him, and he believed no one would ever know what he was about to do. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that even the darkest moments can still be turned toward the light, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. He had grown up surrounded by silence disguised as luxury. The house was always large, always clean, always cold. His father had built an empire with ruthless precision, and when illness finally took him, it left behind wealth without warmth, and a son who had learned early that emotions were weaknesses best hidden behind polished shoes and sharp suits. His mother, once a graceful woman who filled rooms with laughter, became a quiet figure after the accident that stole her ability to walk. The paralysis confined her to a wheelchair, but it was the pity in people's eyes that truly imprisoned her. As the years passed, the son's visits grew shorter, then rarer, until they became obligations marked on a calendar rather than moments of connection. To him, she was no longer a person with memories and sacrifices, but a burden that slowed the speed of his ambitions. The cliff had been chosen carefully, remote, beautiful, and empty. It was the kind of place tourists photographed from a safe distance, unaware of how final it truly was. He told himself a story as he pushed the wheelchair forward, one that made his actions feel almost reasonable. Accidents happened all the time. Wheels slipped, hands lost grip. Nature was unforgiving, and that cruelty could be borrowed to hide his own. He focused on the horizon, on the pale line where sea met sky, refusing to look at the woman who had once held him through fevers and nightmares. In his mind, once it was over, life would move faster again, lighter, unburdened. What he forgot was not an object or a detail, but a living soul that had never learned to abandon. The dog had been with his mother since the accident, a loyal companion who slept beside her wheelchair and followed her shadow with quiet devotion. The animal did not understand wealth or resentment or plans made in secret. It understood only presence and absence, love and threat. As the son's hands tightened on the wheelchair handles, the dog sensed danger in a way humans often fail to. Its ears flattened, muscles tensed, and its body moved not with fear, but with purpose. Time stretched in a strange way at the cliff's edge. The son leaned forward, committing to the final motion, when the dog lunged, not at the mother, not in confusion, but at him. The sudden weight and force broke his balance, and in that instant, certainty shattered. The wheelchair jolted but did not tip. Stones scattered. The son stumbled, his expensive shoes scraping uselessly against rock as panic, raw and unfiltered, surged through him for the first time in years. He fell hard, breath knocked from his chest, staring at the sky as the realization crashed down harder than any wave below. He had come to end a life and almost lost his own. Lying there, the world sounded different. The wind was louder. His heartbeat roared in his ears. He saw the dog standing between him and the wheelchair, body rigid, eyes locked, not with hatred, but with warning. The mother sat frozen, her hands gripping the arms of her chair, her face pale yet strangely calm, as if she had known for a long time that love and betrayal sometimes wear the same face. In that suspended moment, something ancient stirred inside the son, something buried beneath years of ambition and emotional neglect. Fear gave way to shame, and shame cracked open a door he had kept sealed since childhood. Memories flooded in without mercy, small hands holding onto a finger while crossing busy streets, a voice reading stories late into the night, a woman working through pain and exhaustion so her child could have a future brighter than her own. He saw her not as a burden, but as the foundation he had built his entire life upon. The cliff no longer looked like an escape. It looked like a mirror, reflecting the person he had almost become. He struggled to his knees, the ground cold and unforgiving, and for the first time in years he allowed himself to feel the full weight of what he had intended to do. The journey back from the cliff was slow, not because of the terrain, but because of the silence. Every step echoed with unspoken truths. The dog stayed close to the wheelchair, never once turning its back on the sun, as if guarding against the return of his darkest impulse. The mother did not look at him, and that absence of anger hurt more than any accusation could have. It was the quiet that forced him to confront himself, the realization that forgiveness was not something he could demand or even expect. It was something he would have to earn, if it was still possible at all. Life did not transform overnight. Redemption rarely announces itself with dramatic music or sudden clarity. Instead, it crept in through small, uncomfortable changes. He rearranged his schedule, cancelled meetings that once felt vital, and spent long afternoons beside his mother, learning again how to sit without checking the time. He listened to stories he had heard before but never truly absorbed, stories of sacrifice, of love stretched thin but never broken. The dog remained watchful, a silent judge and protector, its presence a constant reminder of the moment that changed everything. As weeks turned into months, something unexpected happened. The son began to change not because he feared consequences, but because he could no longer ignore the humanity he had nearly destroyed. He invested not just money, but time into his mother's care, seeking treatments, improvements, and moments of joy that had nothing to do with appearances. The house that once felt like a museum slowly warmed with laughter, with shared meals, with the simple comfort of being together. The dog, once a barrier, became a bridge, allowing affection to return in cautious, tentative steps. The cliff remained unchanged and indifferent, but it no longer held power over him. It became a symbol not of death, but of a second chance violently earned and humbly accepted. He understood now that forgetting the dog was never the mistake. Forgetting love was. The animal had acted not out of heroism, but out of loyalty, a trait so pure it exposed the son's emptiness in the harshest light. In saving his mother, the dog had also saved him from a life defined by irreversible regret. If this story is touching something inside you right now, if it's reminding you of someone you need to hold closer or forgive before it's too late, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive and reaching others who may be standing at their own emotional cliffs. Near the end of her life, the mother sat by a window overlooking a quiet garden, sunlight warming her face. The son sat beside her, older in ways no mirror could show, wiser through pain rather than privilege. The dog lay at their feet, gray now, breathing slow and steady. There were no grand speeches, no declarations meant to erase the past. There was only presence, and in that presence a fragile, powerful peace. The son understood that love does not erase mistakes, but it can transform them into lessons that guide us away from the edge. Before this story ends, I want to ask you something simple but meaningful. Please comment below with the word kindness if you believe that even one loyal heart, even one brave act of love, can change the course of a life. The ocean still crashes against the cliff, unseen and unstoppable, but far from there. A broken bond was mended, not by wealth or force, but by the quiet courage of a dog and the painful awakening of a son who finally remembered what it means to be human.